Just want to talk a little bit about brace height on my ASLs. So the Pacific stick, the American stick, and the Yukon stick. The 68-inch version all has a suggested brace height of 6 3/8. The 66 is an 1/8 inch lower, so you're at 6 1/4. 6 1/4. Those are plus or minus a half of an inch for your own individual tuning needs, because everybody will have their own individual brace height that they find to work for themselves. And I'll explain how you can find that here in a minute. But the suggested brace height is the spot where the limbs put the most energy into the arrow. Now that may be affected or will be affected by you individually, by your own finger pressures and string hand pressures. But basically what the brace height does is with the correct arrow, it puts the most energy into the arrow, sending it down range, giving it the best cast that's possible, arrow speed, all of that. Now, you can use brace height as a tuning method as well. It's really great for fine tuning. If you got an arrow that's slightly too stiff, you can go a little bit higher brace height, which will allow the arrow to bend, give it more time to bend around the shaft. So it essentially makes it act weaker, which is kind of backwards thinking, because you're essentially taking a little bit of power out if you think about it, but it gives your arrow more time to bend around the riser, is what you're doing by lengthening this distance here. Now, if you've got an arrow that's slightly too weak, you can take out a few twists and shorten the time that the arrow takes to get around the riser, which in turn will make it bend around back far less and cause you to impact further left. If you want to, need a weaker impact, you can add more twists, which will cause it to impact a little bit further right. So there's a lot of things that you can do there as far as fine tuning. I tend to tune at the suggested brace height, and then I might fine tune if I have an arrow that is just slightly weak or slightly stiff, but it's an arrow that I really like. But typically I'll fall right into that 6 3/8 brace height. Now, how you can find your own individual brace height that's best for you. There's really two ways that I'm really familiar with doing. If you have a chronograph, the chronograph method is probably the easiest, where you will shoot 3 arrows through the chronograph and record what they are. You'd go to the low end of the suggested brace height to do this. Start there, and then you're going to add a couple of twists, shoot 3 more, record those. Add a couple twists, shoot 3 more, record those. And eventually, you're going to keep increasing in speed. It might be small increments, but you'll keep increasing in speed. You're going to want to use averages, because average those 3 arrows, because your finger pressures, your grip pressure, you're not going to be exactly the same. We're not machines, we're people. So you won't be exactly the same every time, but you want to be consistent. Anyway, you keep going up and up and up by a few twists at a time, until you reach a point where your speeds don't increase anymore. And eventually they would, if you kept going up, your speeds would actually come down. And at that point, when they stop increasing or even start dropping, you know that you've gone beyond the optimum brace height place for you as an individual. So that's one way. I really like that. You find that spot where you hit the optimum, or go past the optimum, and you take out a couple twists, and you're back, and you're right there. You're at that optimum speed, or you're at that optimum brace height for you as an individual. Now, the other method is for people that do not have a chronograph, and you can do it in your yard at a target. Typically, you would stand at 20 yards. You'd put a little red dot somewhere. I would put it low on the target, and you're going to aim at that point every single shot, and you're going to shoot multiple arrows, shoot 3 arrows again at that point, and then you're going to go retrieve them, come back, add a couple of twists. Again, start on the low end of the recommended brace height and add twists, shoot a couple more. Your impact will start raising, but you're still aiming at that one spot, but your impact will start to go up. as you are adding twists in, because you're becoming closer to the optimum brace height on the bow. Once you hit the spot where your impacts no longer are raising or possibly even lower, possibly start to drop, you're going to take a couple of twists back out, because that would put you back at your highest impact point, which is your most optimum brace height, because it's putting the most energy into the arrow. Now, for that one, you have to be really consistent on your point of aim, really consistent on your release, because there is, again, the human error in that. We, again, are not machines. So just kind of find your best. And then once you get there, go tune some arrows, get your arrows tuned, and then if you need to make minute adjustments with brace height, go ahead. It's a really, really easy way to adjust your tune slightly. Have a great day.